Alright guys, 4th of July weekend, I promised another stream. And I want to show you guys I want to talk about a concept of connecting, got a little pool party going on. Connecting the idea of BJJ and BJJ's bear paws. So we have bear paws and BJJ, right? We have Tai Chi, the sticking of Tai Chi. And then we have praying mantis, Kung Fu, praying Kung Fu. And all of these ideas interconnect. And I really want to talk about what this means. I'm going to show some exercises of interconnecting them. So when it comes to like the BJJ bear paws, right? Like John Machado is the one who taught me this exercise. All this stuff on my face. It's actually just like sunscreen. But John Machado is the one who taught me the bear paws in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And just like having the bear paws, protecting your fingers, the idea of protecting the fingers and having them cup the opponent. However, a lot of times the BJJ and the wrestling in particular, this is not to say the wrestlers and BJJ practitioners do not have great sensitivity, because any martial artist can develop great sensitivity. However, Tai Chi is a technology that is specifically designed to increase your sensitivity with very particular concepts, drills, breath work, visualization, etc. So therefore, because you have this technology, these bear paws can be optimized with the awareness, your mind, the touching going into the opponent's body and being able to roll the opponent's body based on the connection, create leverage points for yourself just with a touch without having to have the more overt leverage points of potentially even needing a second arm to create a leverage point. So you should be able to create leverage points just based on muscle and skin and bone and alignment. So that is something that what's going on?
How's it going,
good to see you, man. Do a little stream real quick. So bear paws, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Tai Chi, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu augmented by Tai Chi, right? So now let's talk about the Tai Chi, like just the touch. We were just talking about this touch, and when you do a move that's called white crane spreads his talons, or specifically just like you do your single whip in Tai Chi, this position, this is a crane fist, and in Tai Chi you have this beautiful, when you do your push hands work and the Neigong work, which a lot of people who practice Tai Chi may not have access to high quality push hands, or they may not have access to the Neigong at all. They may do qigong, but they may not do Neigong, which is the power building exercises that help to build even deeper sensitivity, because they're isolation exercises that isolate breath work and visualization. It's kind of like weightlifting for attention. So I'm just gonna put this right here, and I wanna connect these ideas, right? So, bear paws, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you're doing the 50-50 clinch, they're on your opponent, you're pummeling through, swimming in, etc. And you're protecting your fingers, similar to Kung Fu when you have this bladed hand protecting the thumb and the fingers. Some people do it like this in karate, etc. But the idea, the bear paw is cupping in a little bit more, having a bit more of a grappling surface area here, so you can slide in, etc. Move the limbs out of the way, pick up the limbs, etc. Connect that to Tai Chi when you're doing your white crane spreads his talons. To give you a sense of what I'm talking about in terms of the technology of Tai Chi, specifically in the Neigong 1/3 of the Tai Chi system, you have this Neigong exercise, white crane spreads his talons. So when you exhale, you're pushing the breath, visualizing the breath as a color pushing through the palms. When you do this motion right here, this little connection motion, I'm taking one hand away, right here, whether you do it with one finger connected, two fingers connected to the thumb, or all the fingers connected to the thumb, the concept is the same. It's as if you're pulling the ether. And that may sound a little tough for especially for a certain group of people who train martial arts who don't necessarily think in that way. Here are some other concepts that can help you understand what that means, pulling the ether. So when you're pulling the ether, what you're essentially doing with a lot of these terminologies in Tai Chi is you're self-inducing experience. When you can self-induce experience, especially for folks who might be, more into, let's say, like ayahuasca or various psychedelic like enhancements through mushrooms, etc. A lot of these experiences can be self-generated, and you have folks like Dr. Joe Dispenza has done a ton of research, or like utilizing meditation versus psychedelics, and being able to self-generate some of the experiences that you might get from psychedelics. I'm not knocking either or condoning either. I mean, I grew up in a family that does a lot of meditation, so for me, I always lean toward the meditation, the self-generating experience. So if you are somebody who understands that type of language versus the Tai Chi language of saying, pull the ether, what you want to do is you want to experience, you want to self-induce the experience of pulling something sticky right here. And the pull, the strength from the pull, does not come from the fingertips. The fingertips connect to something sticky. The breath pulls the wrists, and then the color visualization washes through the limb into the belly. So there's a chain reaction that you have to be able to imagine. And if you cannot imagine that chain reaction, you have to have the discipline to stay around long enough to actually get the coordination, the choreography, and then start to work on crystallizing the visualization more. And that's where a lot of people miss the technology of Tai Chi, because you have folks walking around saying, grab the ether. And that's not saying that you're not grabbing the ether. What I'm getting at is that if you don't have the right language to bridge your level of understanding to a particular goal, then you may miss the goal completely. So what we're talking about here is essentially softening the muscles, softening for the Neigong specifically, we are minimizing tension. That's what softening the muscles means. It doesn't mean no tension. It means minimize the tension, minimal effort to hold a posture. And that's what you're doing the entire time in Tai Chi. It's not that there's no tension. A lot of Tai Chi generalists, people who think that they understand Tai Chi, and then they talk about it like they understand Tai Chi, and then they get mad at other people saying things are not Tai Chi. That's not what we do here. What we're talking about is that there's always a more subtle layer. Doesn't matter how much of a master you are, there's always going to be a deeper layer of subtlety. So I'm going to share with you, I am sharing with you from my level of understanding, and I always appreciate everyone else's experience, because no one else's experience negates my expertise, and vice versa. My expertise does not negate your experience, or negate your expertise, I should say. So here, inhale, the breath pulls the wrists, the fingers are connected to that sticky substance, and you exhale, you push a very heavy object away. So remember, we're still talking about connecting the BJJ bear paws to the idea of Tai Chi sticking. So this little sticking exercise right here, it's actually a Neigong exercise. It's really great. It's helping to strengthen the lower back and the middle of the back. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I have hour plus long, I have hours of breakdowns on this exercise. It's called White Crane Spreads His Talons. It is the 5th Neigong exercise in the Wu style set, Yin set of Neigong, Wu style Tai Chi. So, again, the only thing that I want you guys to really focus on for this particular video right now is the idea of connecting the self-induced experience of sticking to the ether. Now let's add, like if this was an equation on the screen, I would write bear paws plus sticking. So now if you're doing your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you're in your 50-50 cleanser, etc., using these bear paws, these bear paws are connecting into the opponent with this sense of sticking. So you're self-inducing the sense of sticking here. Of course, it's not going to be simply do this exercise and now you can do this other, live drill better. That's not the way it works, right? So you have to have the personal, private exercise that you do with no one else first. And then you take the other component of Tai Chi, the other third of Tai Chi, which is the push hands suite of exercises that you start to follow your partners with. And you're consistently working on this sticking. See, I'm rolling my own arm. With the same ability that I'm developing here. I'm taking that same touch and I'm starting to roll the fascia, not just the fascia. There's a lot of people, like a few months ago, maybe like a year ago, someone put out a video that got a significant amount of views on YouTube that's talking about rolling the fascia. That you're not just touching the skin, you're rolling the fascia. That's great. That's great because the language is essentially bringing us deeper than skin, bringing the general public deeper than skin. The reality is that you're rolling whatever your awareness allows you to touch. It's not simply the skin versus the fascia. It's the ability to recognize alignment, bone alignment, breathing, timing, rhythm, etc. To be able to connect to all of that at will through any given point. at will through any given point. So you have this touch right here. This touch, if I was on an opponent, at will, my mind's going as deep as it possibly can. Maybe I'm rolling the skin. The skin is fine. Maybe I'm only just rolling the musculature, the overt musculature, or the fascia. Maybe I'm going deeper and I'm just connecting the bone alignment to the rest of the body and I'm rolling it over. And notice that I'm essentially I'm pinning my own arm to my body and I'm pushing. If I was doing this to an opponent, you pin the opponent's arm to the body and you roll that limb over the opponent's, the rest of the surface area. So this gives you leverage points and makes somebody else uncomfortable. And when you make someone else uncomfortable in a strategic way, you can time it, strategize around it, etc. So we're connecting the BJJ pause to the Tai Chi, the technology of Tai Chi, the sticking, etc. And now let's add Kung Fu. BJJ, Tai Chi, Kung Fu. So praying mantis Kung Fu, which was my dad's like foundational style for me growing up, from my father. Praying mantis Kung Fu, having these positions. Sometimes you'll see these fingers in, 2 fingers out, thumb in, etc. Like this. Boom. So, this position, I've rarely done the heated sand exercises where you're dipping the fingers in to strengthen the fingers, harden the fingers. That's not something that you necessarily do in Tai Chi. Even though praying mantis Tai Chi, praying mantis is very connected to Tai Chi, the Tai Chi principle for many schools that I've been around is not to deaden the fingers through this heated strengthening experience. However, I also see value in strengthening the fingers through that. And I'd love to do more of it, I just have not done more of it. What I'm getting at is that you don't need to do that to find value in this position. So just look at this praying mantis position. This is my active arm, this is my opponent arm. So I'm demonstrating this as an opponent. Just look at this position. So I'm here and I have a praying mantis position. But rather than locking on, notice that I'm creating a leverage point by nature of the position. I have one on the outside, one on the inside. This creates a leverage point. This is called a structural hold, a structural lock. That's what we call it in our US Tai Chi push hands team style push hands. Structural locks. A structural lock is, there's no grabbing necessary. This is a position. It's a very soft position, but it's soft with gentle strength, not flimsy. So it's gentle strength. It's not a hard lock. It's not a hard position. It's just gentle strength. It does not bend easily. It bends at my will. So I have my other hand here, here, and here. I've created this leverage point, or what we call structural locks. And from this structural lock, look how similar this is to the bear paw. Praying mantis, bear paw. Praying mantis, bear paw. Bear paw allowing us, praying mantis allowing us direction with the index finger and thumb. So the bear paw, a lot of times, Grandmaster William C.C. Chen would often say this, that the mind you can always see through the fingers, more specifically the index finger. You can always see the mind of the opponent through the index finger. I think it's really important. Michael Jackson was one of the best dancers of all time, if not the best, and you can always see his mind shoot through the fingertips. I mentioned this a lot, but he did qigong, and he talks about, he actually taught it in the music video, so I still have to put my video out on that subject. But here, you can go from the bear paws to directing the energy, the pressure of the body to a particular direction. So, bear paw, Tai Chi sticking, aim the Tai Chi sticking to a particular direction, and now you have imposed weight. You're using will to impose your weight on an opponent, to start to bend them out of their own alignment. And that becomes really super interesting. That's where you start playing push hands at a higher level, because you're not just using your limbs, and you're not just using the belly or the qua to showcase how much strength and chi you have in the body. That's all well and good. But the reality of you being able to grapple, to actually play with a person who does not care about your Tai Chi, and for those who do not care about Tai Chi, who are watching this for the first time, watching me for the first time, I grew up in a Tai Chi and Kung Fu family. I fought professionally in college. I coached the US Tai Chi push hands team. All this stuff, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like I love John Machado. He's a dear mentor of mine. I've trained with the family for a while. So all this stuff, I have profound respect for all styles of martial arts. When it comes to what Tai Chi represents as a technology, I think it is valuable for every martial artist to learn, to understand that it is a technology that can be embedded into the depth of your style, because it's more than how Tai Chi is presented to the masses. And oftentimes, I do my best to not spend too much time re-explaining it, but I just want to make sure that people can access this information because it's very, very valuable. So when you can play with somebody who simply wants to dominate you, then you have an opportunity to start to see how practically you understand these basic principles of your Tai Chi if you are a Tai Chi practitioner. And again, being able to use the bear paws, do your pummeling, start to create these structural locks to leverage the limbs and the body where you wish, and then to start imposing a shape on the opponent's body. This is a 50-50 clinch that I'm starting to turn. I'm turning my opponent to make them uncomfortable. If I was sparring, maybe I'm turning them to bend their body out of alignment, and then I'm lifting a knee to their head. Maybe I'm doing something to drop them over just so that they want to come up. When you start to think like this, think strategically like this, I'm putting weight in. Notice that I added that little point. I'm using the praying mantis position to add that point. Or you can use, we didn't talk about this too much, but even the crane fist position to create these structural locks. Just the little crane fist position. So however you get to it, you put in these, bending your opponent out of the spinal ring, as they might call it in Kempo, just so that they want to come back to their own alignment, so they find comfort. And that's when you execute another technique. For example, this is very simple thinking in terms of judo, Greco-Roman setting up throws. Move the opponent one direction, throw them in the other direction. It's very, very simple stuff. But the idea of making it more complex than that with your depth of your understanding, to me, really has to do with the amount of time you're putting into your drilling, to sensitivity drilling. And to do sensitivity drilling, from my experience, you have to have alone time, meaning you're training by yourself, because you have to be aware of yourself first before you bring an opponent into the equation. That is how I've been trained. And so anytime I'm training with too many people in a week, I know I'm out of alignment with myself. I may be getting a lot of great ideas from many different folks, but if I'm not doing the work at home, then I may not be fully connected to my needs, my body's needs. And that to me is the number one position to be in as a martial artist, is having an understanding of what's going on here inside you, and then bring that best version of yourself to your partners so that everybody can benefit from you being the best version of you. So if we are here and we're doing our Neigong exercise that's helping us train our self-induced sticking experience. We're sticking to that quote-unquote sticking to the ether feeling. We're creating that feeling with our minds, but we're creating it with a very precise chain reaction. I'll repeat it right now. Exhale, push the breath through the palms and fingertips with the middle finger, special attention to the middle finger of each hand. Finish the breath out, and the hands connect to something sticky. From there, the breath pulls only the wrists. Only the wrists are pulled back. The elbows soften, the shoulders soften. You massage your temples, and exhale, sink and sit into this half horse stance, pushing the heels of the palm forward. You're visualizing your breath as a color. There's also some technical points here. There's slight tension in the anus. There's the tongue is placed on the ceiling of the mouth, and all the breathing is in and out through the nose. The mouth is completely closed. So these are all points that all the Neigong exercises have in them from the Wu style of Tai Chi. So you're doing this exercise to help you develop the skill on a personal level. Then you can do it with any drill. You can do it with Greco, with Judo, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu drills. But the thing is that if you don't have a partner that can do it with you, meaning that if you don't have a partner who has the patience to sit there with you and to move through the drills so that both of you are deepening your awareness, and if the conversation between both of you is not allowing you to deepen your awareness, meaning that you guys are quiet, the first part of the conversation is quiet, meaning two people moving in a repetitive flow drill that is quiet, and you keep on deepening your awareness of the drill. I'm doing something very simple with my hands right now. I'm pushing on one hand, gentle resistance on the other, and then I replace it, and then I replace it. I'm pushing out, and I can do the same thing, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in. This is me doing it by myself. I don't even do this often. Pulling with my outside hand, then the inside hand escapes and pulls in. Inside hand escapes and pulls in. I do the same thing, pushing out. I'm just giving you an example of a super basic flow drill. Super, super basic. If you're not doing these flow drills with a partner, then when you start doing the harder drills, the live drills, then you start getting into a position where you're not getting the most out of those live drills. Because the live drills still are actually about sensitivity. The highest level of all drills is about your ability to have depth in all your drills. So if you don't have the depth because you're not spending the quality time gaining the depth of understanding of any given drill, then, as Bruce Lee said, don't feel the guy who knows 10,000 kicks, feel the opponent who's done one kick 10,000 times, right? It's the same concept. So you want to just deepen your experience so that you know it. You can throw that technique or move through that posture. Even the 50-50 clinch, doing your pummeling, even this, there's a push hands version of this as well. And being able to flow through this and to feel the opponent's weight, feel the alignment to the underhook. And everything I'm doing here has meaning. I'm not doing this for beauty. This is a leverage. This is me leveraging up someone's body from an odd angle or uncommon angle. Uncommon because people who don't do Tai Chi may not know it, and people who do Tai Chi may not have the quality push hands to know this particular posture. So all this stuff comes from very, very particular type of drilling, sensitivity drilling. So it's my intention to share all this stuff with you guys. Today we were talking about connecting the bear paws with the Tai Chi sensitivity. More specifically, bear paws with Tai Chi sensitivity with praying mantis and crane fists. So BJJ, Tai Chi, and Kung Fu. 2 different styles of Kung Fu. And again, all this stuff, when you have the Tai Chi at the foundation, all of it becomes even more practical, more efficient, and just more dynamic in how in your adaptation to whatever martial art you do. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas, let me check if you do. I will always do my best to answer, and I will repost this. I'll probably edit this one down too, because I just felt the need to talk about this while everyone is swimming behind me at this party. So and I'll stream. I promise I'll stream more. But I love you guys, and I'm always so grateful to share this stuff. To me, it's just like I've been doing it for so long, and I don't share enough, even though I have thousands of hours of content on my YouTube channel. So I still feel like I don't share enough, and there's always a video I want to make, and there's always something deeper I want to do. And I don't think you know what? Let me do one more thing before I leave. One more thing. So actually, the reason I started this video wasn't to talk as much, but I wanted to show you some actual position. So let's actually just go into one BJJ drill. We already did the Tai Chi Neigong, and then we'll do the crane fist and the I guess the Neigong does count for the crane fist, but we'll do the praying mantis. So here are the drills. So 50-50 clinch. No matter if you're a boxer, if you're an MMA fighter, get into your front stance with your hands up, and then suddenly you boom come into your 50-50 and you start pummeling. So meaning get your legs the proper position. If you're doing push hands, especially if you trained under me, you know that we put 70% of our weight forward, 30% back, and the back leg is 45 degrees, the front leg is facing directly into your opponent's center line. So my nose is over my knee is over the big toe. That is the intention of my front stance from a Tai Chi push hands perspective that I'd use in all my grappling. So we're going to do the bear paws first. So we're pummeling with bear paws. So I highly recommend turning your bear paw movement or drill into a Neigong exercise. And remember that as you come over your opponent's arm, meaning that I'm locking someone's arm here, pitting their arm with my wrist, pitting their wrist with my elbow, and I'm not squeezing my elbow to pin it. It looks like that because I'm squeezing my arm to demonstrate overtly to you, but actually this is a drop. It's as if there's a weight on my elbow. So boom. It's actually a drop to pin rather than a squeeze to pin. That helps you minimize tension. Remember we were talking about minimizing tension earlier. So drop to pin, and this hand pummels in. This other hand, notice that the bear paw is right on the opponent's elbow area. So we're controlling the elbow. Control the wrist, control the elbow. And then the other hand goes for the underhook, or pummels through, which could become an underhook. And then we switch. This hand pummels in, this hand pins the wrist, elbow pins the wrist, and this other hand holds the opponent's elbow. So it's going to look like this. So we're just doing this over and over again, switching the legs. So remember, the one hand is always coming up and pummeling in. You can check my Taiji channel for all the different variations of this, especially from a push hand's perspective. We have a very particular way. As a matter of fact, I just put out 2 videos with Coach Nacho from Team Spain. We did a joint seminar back in March, and so I just put out the videos yesterday and today, July 4th and July 5th, and all this week, actually several videos. So, but the longest ones, you'll see one of the drills, this particular drill adapted to push hands. But this is just the BJJ pummeling with the bear paws. Again, the bear paws are to keep your fingers safe so they don't get caught on someone's clothing, so someone doesn't jam it back. If you see this finger, this is from it getting jammed with MMA gloves, and it got dislocated, and then someone popped it back in for me, and that sucked. Okay, so we moved through that. I recommend an inhalation, exhale, inhalation. That's what I recommend for this, but if you feel free to just inhale, exhale, or reverse it. Exhale, inhale. All of them are good, but it really requires some of the full body mechanic, the understanding of the body mechanic of inverted breathing. Inverted breathing Tai Chi is where you start to create shapes with breath, and then you release shapes with exhalation. Create shapes with inhalation, release shapes. So unless you're doing that already, or you have someone who can walk you through those steps and let you feel what it feels like, it's very, very tricky stuff. I recommend just keeping it an exhalation and inhalation. Exhale, or maybe exhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, even though it's very valuable to be able to do these exercises from multiple breathing points. And very similar to the concept of point of origin in Kempo, being able to strike from any point of origin. So the strike can come from any angle. Same concept, the breath should be able to come from any angle. However, there are very particular body mechanics connected to very particular breathing styles, and the more one understands that, the more uniquely you move, and the more uniquely you feel, and therefore the more common the responses are from opponents who experience you as uncommon. That means that people don't know what you're doing, therefore you can predict how people react to you when they don't know what you're doing, and you can strategize around that element of surprise. That's what I mean. So, we did the other exercise. White crane spreads his talons. Feel free to YouTube that specific terminology. And now we're going to move on. That's a crane fist that we're making here, but we're going to switch. We are going to do a crane fist. So we're going to cover with a bear paw. Cover with a bear paw. We're connecting the BJJ and the crane fist right up here. Look at that. We made it. Cover with the bear paw, crane fist. Cover with the bear paw, crane fist. So we want to make sure the color of the breath shoots out the fingertips. What that really means is that you are utilizing the breath as a vehicle for your attention. By giving your breath a vehicle, an image in your mind, you are giving the attention a vehicle. So you're giving your mind a vehicle to travel through your body by nature of visualizing or imagining a color as you breathe, washing in any given direction in your body. This is the beginning of what's called programmatic breath work in certain healing modalities. That is not at all what we're going to be talking about, but it's really important for people to recognize that these this breath work and these visualizations are deeply connected to other things that are not martial. So here we're going to cover with the bear paw and using the entire surface area of the arm, the back of the arm, the forearm, and we're connecting all of it. We're not moving like this, but we're connecting all of it to the hips and the waist. Like this, like it's one piece. And then this hand is the one that whips with the waist. Like that. So, wow. So one arm is not stiff, but it's still. And that pushes the color through. Inhale, switch. Exhale. Inhale, switch. My other hand, my legs are doing hanging leg stances. Inhale. You can also slow this down even more. Exhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So that's the exhalation. The inhalation is the load. Exhalation, sink and shoot out. Inhale, load, rise up. Exhale, sink and sit. Marriage of gravity on the impact. You don't always have to have marriage of gravity. It's just important to know when you use it. Inhale up, exhale. Inhale up, sink and exhale. So where the intention is to push the breath through the fingertips at the exhalation, about an inch or two beyond. And now let's do the praying mantis. Praying mantis right here. So praying mantis fist, similar to the crane fist striking the temple, crane fist striking the chin, under the chin of someone, crane fist grabbing a wrist, crane fist hooking a wrist like this. My son tried to snatch something from me a couple days ago, and I protected. He didn't realize that there was sharp objects around. He reaches and I grab his arm like this. Not even grab. I do this position and I move his arm out of the way, and he was shocked at how fast that happened. But look, not even a grab. Very, very gentle. Someone could slide out, but if you know the trajectory of their arm, it's harder for them to slide out. And also the alignment of their bones. Again, all this is built up over experience. So that's crane. But doing the praying mantis. Praying mantis, we're going to step, step. We can stay seated. Inhale up. So, if I have one arm, you can see the position right here. This is the praying mantis position we talked about before. This is the operative elbow, or the active elbow. This is the opponent arm. So, elbow, hand in front of the arm, and now we have this beautiful structural lock. We're going to just imagine that we're doubling that up. We have the opponent's arms, and we're structural locking on both the opponent's arms. So, got all these bugs all of a sudden just came. So we're going to finish up. So, you can do the same stance. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. I like the idea of stepping back though, so let's step out. Exhale. Inhale, one hand comes up. Exhale, both of them drop one level. Inhale, one hand comes up to the shoulder height or slightly above. Other hand is on the sternum level. And then one's going to float to the hip while the other one floats to the sternum. Inhale up. Inhale up. Exhale. You can also do one inhalation and one exhalation, meaning inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Again. Inhale, exhale. And what we're doing is we're pinning wrists, pinning arms. If I recut this video, I will do my best to find, I definitely have examples of all these things. So I will put it in the video if that makes sense. I may just shoot the video again and make the ideas more efficient for people to absorb. So I'm deeply grateful for you guys as I share this stuff. I love sharing this with you. And if you ever have a thought, question, or idea, once again, you know where to find me, Jan's Tai Chi. Sending you lots of love for the holiday weekend. At Jan's Tai Chi on YouTube is where I put out a video every single day. If I miss a day, it is uncommon. And I have missed days, but it's pretty much every single day. Thousands of hours of content on there for free. And I love you so much, and sending many blessings to you and your families. Bye-bye.